I just want to inform you that this class is recorded. Okay, so for the meantime, our topic for today is about internet infrastructure. No, so these networks peer with each other to exchange packet traffic. No, each NSP is required to connect to three network access points of or NAPs. No, uh, because we need to accept the fact that the internet is a worldwide network of computer networks that connects university, government, commercial, and other computers in over 150 countries. So there are thousands of networks, tens of thousands of computers, and millions of users of the internet, with the number expanding daily. So physical transmission lines of all types, such as wired, fiber optic, and microwave links along the routing equipment, now accompanying critical software service like the domain name system, email, web hosting, authentication, and authorization, storage system, and database serves as considered critical. So we need also to maintain our internet. We need also to control the internet infrastructure and others. So okay, for us to discuss about internet introduction to internet infrastructure, let us all welcome Sir Bardaje. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir, for that introduction po. So, first, I would discuss about the introduction to internet infrastructure. The topics would be, of course, internet infrastructure itself, ISP, POP, NAP, router, lastly is internet backbone. So some of the terminologies you are already familiar with. First, the internet infrastructure. So the internet has been described as a network of networks. Telecommunication providers draw fiber around the world and they trade in internet traffic across those wires. So basically, internet is described as a network of networks. But what would be they say, the origin? What are the words that internet comes from? So the acronym there is interconnected network, meaning it's a large system of connected computers and other devices around the world that allows people to share information and communicate with each other. So others define internet as interconnected network of people. So, and with that, sorry. So the heart of internet exists between this telecommunication component and the content users send to each other across those wires. So nabanggit dyan, the fiber around the world. So that's what we call the internet infrastructure. Of course, when we say internet infrastructure, it is a physical hardware transmission of data, media, and software used to interconnect computers and users on the internet. So, meaning, yung internet infrastructure is responsible for hosting, storing, and processing, and serving all of the information that makes up the websites, application, content, etc. So that's basically the internet and internet infrastructure. So when we say internet infrastructure, what is the facility behind of that? So we have data center. It is the fundamental building block of the internet's infrastructure. Okay, so when we say data center, usually it's a large building or infra or facility with servers, basically with computers optimized to run the internet. So kapag binanggit natin internet infrastructure, usually this is the facility that ipapatakbo para dito. So next, we have this ISP. So we are all familiar with ISP or internet service provider, which is an organization that provides a myriad of services for accessing, using, or participating in the internet. So these providers can be organized in various forms such as commercial, community-owned, pwede ring non-profit, and otherwise privately owned. Basically, what are the services? So, very known, internet access. We acquire ISP for the internet access, DNS, domain name registration, hosting, or web hosting, and co-location. So, if it comes with co-location, it is a big project now with the ISP. And then, you're familiar, especially yung mga naghahawak ng kanilang mga kanya-kanyang ISP internet service providers, your companies. So, of course, we need an ISP to connect to the internet. So, we acquired that. And then, we go now with the POP. It is not the service of the POP for the email. It is the POP, or we call it the point of presence. So, yung mga nagmamanage sa inyo or handling the ISPs of their companies, so it is one requirement or aspect na you're looking at when you are acquiring a provider, internet provider. So you will ask or have it discussed or plotted in a network diagram of your ISP. So it's a requirement. So when you say point of presence or POP, it's a demarcation point, access point, or physical location at which two or more networks or communication devices shared a connection. So basically, it's a facility or an area or a room where the point of presence of the ISP is there. So it can be as simple as a single server mounted in someone else's cabinet. So it could be malapit dun sa area ng company nyo, or within that area that ISP is being acquired by certain companies or is present. So POP works very much like internet exchange points, only on a smaller scale. The equipment located in a point of presence can be broken down into 5 categories. Basically, these are the POP equipments or categories na dapat meron doon. So usually it's a base station, there's a parang cell site type, there's a base station, central point of connection with an access point, and bandwidth management to distribute connection speeds. So there's a quality equipment, but some suggest na wala doon yung client equipment mo, meron ka pang sarili doon sa yung company. Nandun meron kang siguro mini POP na tinatawag. Pero client equipment could be also located at that POP of the ISP. So used by customers to connect to the central point of connection para madali ang kung mag-acquire ka ng an additional service, mag-expand. So madali na lang. Of course, there's a network switches, provides the link, and used for distribution, the last mile. Routers, of course, provides multiple routes to the network. Firewall, of course, for the security, protects from internal external threats. So when you're acquiring ISP, you should consider these categories and the point of presence. If malapit sa inyo, better. So madali ang there's a support or assistance between the two of you being the client and the provider, madali na lang ma-resolve. And then next is NAP. So it stands for a network access point. Was a public network exchange facility where internet service providers connected with one another in peering arrangement. So meaning, in addition to that, NAPs are also a key component in the transition, they call it NSF net era, where many connect networks were government sponsored and commercial traffic was prohibited. So they call it NSF net. So they were often points of considerable internet congestion. So basically, um, internet kasi is also a space or an area kung saan tayo nakikita-kita or connected. So because of NAP, kahit different ISP ka, kahit kay Globe, so Globe, Smart, or Converge, popular providers, or Eastern Telecom, PTNT, nakikita-kita pa rin tayo with one interconnected network. So because of that NAP. So even you publish or upload a content in a specific provider, kung sino man yung nakakonect doon sa competitor to provider, is nakikita rin niya. So that's how it works technically. And then simply, your bahay natin connects to a homeland, your homeland connects to a tier 3 ISP, said discussed by Sir a while ago. And the tier 3 ISP have an access to network service providers or NSP's network infra. Like for example, if fiber ba siya, via this POP. So there's a POP. Then these NSPs or network service providers have peer-to-peer connection via NAPNA. So it made interconnected network service providers span the whole. So doon sila nagtatagpuan. Okay. So with this diagram, nakikita nyo, there's a backbone. Later on, we will discuss the internet backbone in the next slides. So that's the physical components. So there's an app that connects is either another regional ISP or same regional ISP. Okay. Next would be the router, one of the major components of internet infra. So basically, a router connects multiple networks and routes network traffic between them. It's really that simple because in that case of your home network, so your router has one connection to the internet and one connection to your private local network. In addition, most routers also contain built-in switches that let you connect multiple wired devices. Many also contain wireless radios that let you connect Wi-Fi devices. So for now, we are now using modem, modulator, demodulator. It's now the well-used by our ISP na ginagamit. Now with the routing capability na siya, at the same time, with Wi-Fi capability na. You can connect wired devices, at least usually four LANs. And then sorry, and then in addition, so router sits between your internet connection and your local network. So I've said a while ago, we are now using modem instead of a router only to access the internet, having local IP address. Then we'll translate to the ISP provider's public IP. Next would be so the internet backbone. So when you say internet backbone, it is defined by the principal data routes between large, strategically interconnected computer networks and core routers of the internet. So nandun sa diagram kanina with an app. So these data routes are hosted by commercial, it's either by a government or academic. Usually it's a commercial and other high capacity network centers. They call it network service providers, as well as the internet exchange points and network access points. So it's either NAP that exchange internet traffic between the countries, continents, and across the oceans. Though we are discussing na about uh, overseas na, country to country physical cabling system na. Internet service providers, often tier 1 networks, participate in internet backbone traffic by privately negotiated interconnection agreements, primarily governed by the principle of settlement free peering. So I know some of you familiar na when it comes with the internet backbone. Like for example, if your ISP sa inyong company nagka-problema, pag nabanggit sa inyo or nag-notify sila that there's a problem with their cabling system AAG. Like for example, that's across the ocean na. So, meaning kadalasan yan, lahat ng mga providers natin in the Philippines na dito nakasakay sa AAG or yung nakita sa diagram or EAC, we'll discuss it later, ano yung mga meaning niya. Nag-a-announce sila na there will be a downtime or a maintenance, but the question is dapat meron din silang backup line with other cabling systems. So there's a backup, it's either for high availability, kahit maputol yung AAG, meron kang cabling system na nakasakay ka sa, for example, EAC. Okay, so if ang problem na is with this internet backbone nila, major concern na, maraming affected, lahat ng mga subscribe or nakasakay sa provider, sa internet service provider na to, na dito agreed or have an interconnection agreement with EAG, like for example. So what are these internet backbone cabling systems? So we have this AAG, stands for Asia America Gateway. It's a 20,000 kilometer long submarine communication cable system connecting Southeast Asia with mainland of United States across the Pacific Ocean via Guam and Hawaii. So pag sinabi ng inyong ISP provider, alam ko ang nasa AAG, nandyan ang Bayantel, I don't know if may Bayantel pa ba, and PLDT. So yan usually nakasakay. And I know sa ang PLDT hindi lang naman sa AAG. Later on, nandun din siya sa mai-discuss natin. So when they say na there's a problem with AAG gateway or Asia America Gateway, affected yan. Like for example, si PLDT. Kasi alam ko dito sila. And like for example, yung mga hindi ganun kas popular like or big companies like for example PTNT, meron din silang linya, nakasakay sila sa PLDT. So meaning pag nagka-problem kaya yung magandang discuss nyo or clarify yung network diagram or point of presence and internet backbone ng inyong ISP para if there's a problem, alam nyo na mangyayari, alam nyo na yung pag sinabing there's a Asia America Gateway may problem, tapos both of your ISP, you have a backup, tapos parehas pala silang nasa AAG. Pag nagproblema ang AAG, down sila parehas. Wala ring sense yung backup. So you must ensure na yung kukunin nyo na ako kasi kino-consider ko siya, other provider is hindi lang siya sa AAG merong linya. So there should be a line with other gateway or cable system. Okay. So next would be the EAC or C2C. These are two merger companies or cable systems. The East Asia Crossing and C2C cable systems. So it's also a submarine telecommunications sa ilalim. So in Asia naman to, Pacific and United States. So usually Pacific yung dalawa and United States. And makita nyo sa diagram kung saan usually ang daan niya. So yun yung physical. And next is ASE. So the Asia Submarine Cable Express. It is a 8.1 kilometer intra-Asia submarine cable system constructed by a consortium including, so ito na, yung mga familiar kayo, NTT. So NTT is US. And then we have PLDT sa atin, StarHub, Singapore, Telecom Malaysia. So it is a this ASE consists of six fiber pair connecting from Japan to the Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore with a branch to Hong Kong. So, magka-problema man from Japan, affected tayo to Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore. So physically, kung bumagsak man yung submarine, wag naman sana mangyari. Itong cable express nila, yun, madadaan tayo, affected tayo, these countries. So as you can see, Philippines and Asia usually merong direct Pacific usually dumadaan. The next is may include ng Middle East and Western Europe. So CME, WE3. So Southeast Asia, Middle East, Western Europe. It's an optical submarine telecommunications cable link those regions. It's the longest in the world. So it's the longest. Completed in late 2000. It is led by the France Telecom and China Telecom and is administered by Singtel. So si Singtel sa Singapore din ito na provider. So siya ang nagmamanage ng cable system. Okay. Next would be the APCN-2. So the Asia Pacific Cable Network 2, it's also a consortium or it's a agreement between these Asia countries linking Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Philippines, meron ulit tayo, Malaysia, and Singapore in a ring of configuration. So it consists of 4 fiber pairs stretching 19,000 kilometers. So initially designed with 64 by 10 Gbps over each other fiber. So as you can see, Philippines is almost meron tayo nitong mga to, at least 4. So sana i-consider ito nito pagkuha ng ISP. Dapat ma-discuss nila sa inyo to. Okay, so that's it for my report. So in addition po, sir, I would like to share trivia for this topic. So internet trivia. Gusto ko lang sana i-share. So countries with kasi some of us nag-argue sino ba ang mataas ang gamit ng internet, ng social media. So from statistic.net.com, statista.com. So as you can see, China is the most top one for pinaka gumagamit ng internet, pero sila ay closed. Kumbaga in-isolate na yung sarili nila. At ito kung paano sila nakapag-conduct dito ng census for the users. Before kasi India ay nagtatalo, India and China. So India, United States, this is by million. So 854 million of China's population is using internet. I will bring down to Philippines. So kasama tayo sa top 20. So we have 79 million internet users. And up to now, our population is 110. So could you imagine, yung mga bata na lang or bagong silang ata ang hindi nag-internet. So ganun tayo ka-heavy sa internet. So for social media, specifically with Facebook naman. So, leading countries with that is India nga. So, even before, way back 2016 at 2015, sila pa rin hanggang ngayon. Tatalo pa nila yung United States. It's a bigger country in terms of population din. And the Philippines is pang top 6. So, we have 83 million out of 110 million. So, ganun tayo kalakas gumamit or ganun tayo expose sa Facebook. So, hindi tayo nagpapahuli. Okay. Next would be, I think it's the last. So, how about the internet? So, ito yung madalas sa pagtatalon natin. Sino ba ang country na mabilis? Punta ako dyan kasi mabilis dyan. So, as of 2021, this is the bandwidth speed or the internet speed ng mga countries. So, papansin nyo, wala tayo sa top 20 or top 10. Hindi na tayo umaasa dyan. So, Singapore pa rin nangunguna. And no doubt, kasi na-experience ko ito, bilis. Nag-download ako ng 3 movie. Nag-toothbrush lang ako. Halos matatapos na yung 3 movie na yun. With 4G, 3 gig yung bawat isa. Ganun kabilis. Hong Kong, Romania. So, in terms naman with mobile speed or mobile data, I think UAE or United Arab Emirates. Ang speed natin sa Philippines is ranging from 26 Mbps versus Singapore 226 Mbps. So, ganun tayo ka layo sa kanilang reach, sa kanilang speed. Okay, so I think that's the last po.
Okay, so sir, you may stay the presentation na yung stay lang po muna dyan.
Okay po.
Okay, so again, to add on and to give you some summary actually of the discussions of our presenter, generally speaking, no, infrastructure are the frameworks or architecture that systems are made of. So, for example, a nation's transportation infrastructure consists of roadways, railroads, airports, ocean ports, and rivers. So, although not as visible to the naked eye, the internet also has an infrastructure consisting of many different elements, each of which plays a critical role in the delivery of information from one point to another. So again, the internet is a very large network, as I mentioned earlier, and the US government played an important role in creating what eventually became the internet during the 1960s. Now, and the basic evolution of our internet. Now, at the most rudimentary level of the internet infrastructure are endless miles of telephone lines and fiber optic cable. No? These cables connect millions of individual users and businesses to other parties, no? Transmitting data at varying speeds depending on the types of cabling used. Another factor that affects the speed and quality of users' connection is the means of connection, which include telephone modems, no, high-speed connection methods like cable modems, ISDN, DSL, and T1 lines, and company networks. And of course, according to the strategies group, high-speed residential internet service was expected to surpass telephone dial-up methods US by 2005 actually, at which this time they predicted there would be 36 million broadband subscriber. It's easier to understand how pieces of the internet infrastructure work if one visualizes them transmitting data. The first involved in sending or receiving data involves ISPs, no? Which maintain racks upon racks of modems. Users connect to this modem in order to gain access to the ISP's network, which can vary in reach depending on the ISP's size. In early 2000, there were more than 7,000 ISPs throughout the world. Then the top 10 accounted for only 25% of total internet access traffic. So once connected to an ISP, Users then attempt to communicate by sending email messages to other internet users or by requesting web pages or downloadable files from any number of servers located across the world. So servers are the computers used by individuals, companies, and other organizations to host website, email system, or files that can be downloaded. The process used to send and receive information across the world is more or less hidden to the user and occurs in just seconds. So in order for this to happen, a use or one ISP's network must be able to connect to users on another ISP's network, which may be located across the nation or across the globe. An exemption to this would be if two users were located on the same ISP networks. Because ISPs connect to one another at NAP, in AP, also called Internet Exchange, which are major pieces of Internet backbone. Now, in addition to the technical pieces of the internet infrastructure, there are several organizations that regulate different aspects of it or that seek to improve its stability and functionality. I think that you are familiar with Internet Society, that is a professional society that provide leadership in addressing issues that confront the future to the internet. And this the organization home for the groups responsible for Internet infrastructure standard. It includes the Internet Engineering Task Force, yung IETF, hindi AITF, and the Internet Architecture Board o yung IAB. Hindi yung industry academic board. The society's mission is to assure to open development, evolution, and use the internet for the benefit of all people throughout the world. And according to Internet Architecture Board, that organization is technical advisory group which responsibilities including providing oversight of the architecture for the protocols and procedures used by the internet. It acts as a source of advice and guidance to the Board of Trustees and officers of the Internet Society concerning technical, architectural, procedural, and policy matters pertaining to the internet and its enabling technologies. On the other hand, the IETF is a large open international community of network designers, operators, vendors, and researchers concerned with the evolution of the internet architecture and the smooth operation of the internet. The World Wide Web Consortium o yung W3C natin, was an organization responsible for developing interoperable technologies, specifications, guidelines, software, and tools, to lead the web to its full potential as a forum for information, commerce, communication, and collective understanding, and the Cooperative Association for Internet Data Analysis or yung CAIDA, which collected, monitored, and analyzed information about the internet traffic, patterns, and performance that was useful to researchers, educators, and policymakers in a variety of fields. Now, in 2000, when it comes to infrastructure adequacy, the size of and traffic on the internet had grown significantly. So there are some research from Telcordia revealed that the number of internet hosts, which include things like routers, mail servers, workstation, and web servers, increased from 45% during 2000, reaching 100 million actually. At that time, the global population of internet users was estimated to be 350 million. So furthermore, the kind of services including e-commerce being performed of the internet were growing in sophistication and complexity. Corresponding to this were increasing demands in areas of network quality and performance, as shared by our presenter earlier, specifically when it comes to network use, the speed, the persons who are very active in Facebook, and so on. Now, concerns existed regarding the ability of the internet and the communication protocols it relied on. to support the world's users. And this was complicated by the internet large size and the fact that no one entity controlled it. Therefore, the quality, integrity, and performance of different areas of the networks varied, and control was distributed to many different entities throughout the world. So one infrastructure concern that existed in the early 2000s, concerned the ability of routers to handle the skyrocketing number of entries to the internet backbones routing table, which stores information about all of the existing network destination on the internet. According to Network World, this was leading to instability in the internet backbone routing infrastructure. And part of the problem involved large companies that engage in multi-homing, a practice of connecting to at least 2 ISPs at once in case service with one failed. Now, although this helped to ensure a more consistent internet connection, which is critical for e-commerce companies, of course, the practice required a separate listing in the routing table for each ISP use. Another concern involved the growing number of international users in developing nations without the sophisticated infrastructure found in Europe and the US. So we have actually this place increased demands on limited resources in developing nations. So excuse. As I mentioned earlier, the Telecordia research found that while the ratio of internet users to hosts was 2.4 to 1 in the United States, the number was in as high as 100 to 1 in countries like India, where according to eMarketer, less than 1% of the adult population has internet access. Actually, in India, 2.2 phone lines exist per 100 people. And many of those are substandard for connecting to the internet at appropriate speeds. So, therefore, inadequate infrastructure in areas like Philippines, India, and Latin America have strong implication for e-commerce. So, Forrester Research predicted that this year, at least 85% of online trade will occur in 12 countries, led by the US, of course, and Western Europe. So, although wireless and satellite connection were one solution for nations where group-based network infrastructure were virtually non-existing, the internet TCP/IP protocol didn't work consistently well via satellite, requiring special software to remedy the problem. So,